a favorite Chinese dish, a favorite Chinese food. Do you have a taste for baijiu?
Now,
Yeah.
this is coffee, just so you know. You have
Okay.
more
Yeah.
quirky questions? I love these. So there was those developments. Then that went on through the 60s and 70s and 80s. An
Yes.
example. This is from Beijing Watch Factory. It's a day-date watch.
Hmm.
And it comes from about the late 70s, early 80s. It wasn't really put into general production. It's a fairly rare
Beauty.
piece,
Yeah.
but it shows, in a way, the development of the industry and what the industry was capable of. Of course, Beijing was one of the original eight. Okay,
Right.
you
Right.
know, and also enjoyed a pretty stellar reputation at the time.
Right.
That
Yeah.
they
The
were
big
in,
ones.
yeah, a big reputation. So I have these watches all kind of they mean something to me, partly because I've now been to the cities and they have some personal connection, but also because when I see the development, it just makes me proud of the country, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me see if I can grab another. Well, here's a Seagull ST5 automatic. Okay, 29 jewel. This is hard to find. ST5D. When I purchased this, this was back in about 2009 or 10. I paid at the time what I thought was a really high price, maybe $150. Now you don't get them for under 1500. They're really hard to find, but they're beautiful.
Wow.
But again, it's the development, the industry, and Tianjin Seagull was making automatic movements where they'd started with manual movements.
Right.
So
Right.
it's a good illustration of growth.
Right.
Um, Going to let me see, and I'll also, of course, show at this time the almost ubiquitous 1963, uh, or Project 304 reissue, which
Yeah.
is, I think, far and away the most commonly known Chinese watch in the West.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
And it's been the watch that has introduced a number of people to the industry,
Right.
you know. And I think that this Tianjin should be proud of that,
Oh
you
yeah.
know,
Yeah. I think it's
because
yeah, I think that's one Chinese watch that has yeah, kind of crossed over into the mainstream watch community.
oh, very much so.
Yeah.
Teddy Baldessaro, I forget his last name. He's a
Right.
very
Right.
knowledgeable fella.
Yeah.
Of course, has mentioned the 63 many times,
Yeah.
as being
Yeah.
an affordable column wheel chronograph,
Yeah.
uh, probably the most affordable column wheel chronograph.
Yeah.
And I think that, like I said, it's become very popular for people that really only previously looked at Swiss or German watches.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing, amazing watches here. And before we go, I want to ask you, is there any, any big misconception or anything you want to really clear up, anything you'd really like to tell the watch community out there or the general public even?
Yes, the quality is there. Okay, that's the big thing is the quality. First off, I think it needs to be understood that the Chinese industry was producing quality watches, okay, in by the 1960s. Okay, these were durable watches. I know that because I have them and they're 50 and 60 years old and they work. Okay.
Amazing. Yeah.
Um, and of course, every watch industry in every country had a hard time during the quartz revolution, because that almost killed the mechanical watch industry.
In the 80s.
Um, and it wasn't just China that felt that. And of course, that hit the Chinese watch industry at exactly the same time as China was opening itself up to the world. So many Chinese people wanted to buy Western watches because they were finally available. So there was a hard time in the Chinese watch industry.
Yeah.
But the Chinese watch industry, especially since let's say the mid 1990s and to now, it's just exploded, and the quality is now, well, with companies like let's say Shanghai and with their newer watches, companies like San Martin, a number of reviewers are noting that these are giving the Western watch industry a real shakeup
Yeah. Run for
because
their money.
you bet value for
Yeah.
money. And and good value for money, you know. But let's say the Japanese watch industry sort of suffered from the same kind of reputation, where originally they were viewed as not being very good, and
Right.
this sort of thing. But you can't really say that about Seikosha or Seiko now. Okay,
Right.
they
Right.
make everything from very affordable watches to extremely high-end watches. And the Chinese watch industry does exactly the same. I mean, there are watches, the Chinese watches that deservedly go for hundreds of thousands of dollars,
Right.
and they
Ultra high end.
deserve those prices, and they deserve those prices.
Right. Right. Amazing. Very educational. It's awesome to see these watches. Um, am I allowed to ask you? I see that we have a timer here. Am I
You're
allowed to ask
allowed to
you
ask me everything.
a few quirky questions before we go?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes.
So you've taken many trips to China. Do
Yes.
you have a favorite Chinese dish, a favorite Chinese food?
Tofu now
Tofu now. Okay. Okay.
for breakfast. I mean,
Okay.
that's my favorite breakfast, and I can't get it here. Well, there are two things I try to get almost immediately on landing. One
Yeah.
of them is the funao, the other is er,
Okay.
the shish kebabs with
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
lamb in cumin.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
So
I
if, for
mean,
those who don't know, tofu now it's a kind of tofu dish, and it's often like spiced and
yeah,
salty, spiced, and people would have it for breakfast.
yeah,
Yeah.
those are favorites, but I always gain weight when I come to China. So
Yeah,
there's a number of
understandably,
favorites, but those are the first two off the top of my head.
understandably.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I'm sure that you have joined a lot of dinners with Chinese associates. How has your taste for baijiu developed? Do you have a taste for baijiu?
Yes. I like what you now. This I think sometimes I actually like Arguito.
Okay, okay, yeah. Yeah.
I know that's a lower end
Yeah, it's the
baijiu,
every man's baijiu.
every man, but I very much like that. Mind you, I also like Chinese beer.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
Now, it's not that I'm a heavy drinker, I'm not.
yeah.
But of course, socially in China, there's going to be generally baijiu or something there.
Right.
And so I've developed a taste for it. I like it,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I've had some very pleasant evenings
yeah. So again, for
with
those who
my
don't know,
friends.
baijiu, it's a very strong, pungent liquor, often, drank
Yeah.
at
Now,
dinner.
this is coffee, just so you know.
Spiked with baijiu, right?
Yeah, I wonder how that would taste. But yeah, I like it. Baijiu is extremely strong.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Personally, I prefer huangjiu, like rice wine over baijiu. I think it's more smooth.
I could see that. That makes sense to me. And of course,
Yeah,
I've tasted that too.
yeah.
You have
Okay.
more
Yeah.
quirky questions? I love these.
I think we might have to do a part two.
Sure.
Yeah, we have to do part two and do a sequel to this. It's been great.
I'd love to do a sequel, especially concentrating more on the modern industry. That would really intrigue me because one of the things that I very much want to do is promote. It's one thing to look at the vintage watches, okay,
Right.
and they have a real place in my heart, but it's the modern industry that is impressing the West now.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
As
Yeah.
a matter of fact, you mentioned Reddit, for example. Many of the strong Chinese watch fans on Reddit have almost no knowledge of the vintage watches.
Correct. Yes.
They're being affected by the modern products, and I think that's important and worth exploring.
Right. Right. Yeah, for sure. So this has been Ron, and he's been talking to us about amazing vintage Chinese watches. I'm Brian, the Chinese watch guy. And if you like videos like these, remember to like and subscribe. See you next time.
Take care.